At sunrise, V swung her feet over the side of her bed in her little room. She'd barely slept after leaving Sister Ariel, and she'd had horrible dreams about Kyler and oceans of blood. Maybe it was an omen. She was supposed to meet Aline this morning first thing. She touched the water basin.
Cold.
When ice crystals began to spider across the surface, she broke the ice and washed her face, gasping despite herself. In minutes, she finished her ablutions and pulled the ill-fitting Tyro's robe over her ill-fitting shift. V tied back her hair with the white ribbon Sister Ariel had given her.
You're up. You're going to see her.
She's up in the pommel of the Seraph's sword?
Praying still, Ulysses. V, you're one of us now. The Seraph will pay your debts. If you need to, you can offer her whatever it takes.
I don't think she's looking for a bribe.
Nor do I. I expected I'd have to force you to go to her, V. The girl you used to be would never have done this. Well done.
Perfect. Now it was impossible to back down. V reached one of the upper floors where full sisters had their apartments. There was some pecking order to who had what floor and which sisters got the treasured southern exposures, but V had no idea how it worked. Mercifully, no one was in the hall. V followed the unflickering lamps to the southwest corner. The Seraph held a sword in her left hand, its point at her feet, the hilt coming above her waist held slightly to one side. The pommel of that giant sword was capped with a round jewel. The room was a globe from which sisters could see sunrise and sunset. The walls were always transparent. It was a sanctuary for those who needed to meditate, or, as in Aline's case, pray. Aline was seated, looking toward the eastern mountains. The view was breathtaking. V had never been so high in her life. The punts in the lake below looked the size of her thumb. The mountains glowed. The sun was a jagged half-circle barely peeking over them. But V's eyes sought out Aline's face. Her skin glowed in the gentle light, her eyes deep brown, her scars softened. She gestured for V to come stand with her, not glancing away from the horizon. Tentatively, V stepped up beside her. Together they watched the sun rise. V didn't dare to turn and look Aline in the face.
I'm sorry if I interrupted your prayers.
She drew her knife and rested it across her palms.
I made you a promise. I've done you and Kylar a great wrong. If you wish, I deserve no less.
Aline took the knife.
His mercies are new every morning.
V blinked. She glanced over at Aline and saw a tear tracking down her cheek.
Huh? Whose?
The one God's. If he forgives you, how dare I not?
Aline took V's right hand with her left. Then she stood, shoulder to shoulder with her, looking at the newborn sun.
I believe the God has a purpose for me, V. I don't know what it is, but I know it isn't murdering you. We're in a big mess, but we're in it together. All right?
Verdmeister Nef Dada sat beneath an oak at the mouth of Quarig's Pass, awaiting his spy. He hadn't brought any of the 200 Verdmeisters he'd gathered to the meeting. If his spy was caught, he didn't want her to be able to tell the Chantry anything useful. Of course, the catatonic tensor Ursul and Kali had traveled with him, and he kept them close, but hidden. Eris Buell arrived at moonrise. She was not an attractive woman. Her eyes were close set, her nose long and her chin weak. She looked rather like a rat in makeup. Too much makeup at that, and she had moles everywhere. Gareth Ursul had long let it be known that his female progeny were worthless to him, except as killing practice for the Aethelings. It was half true. Most of the girls served to weed out boys too weak to murder their own sisters, but Gareth sent witch-born girls away at birth. Few became as valuable as Eris Buell. Years ago, Gareth learned that Eris had roused the Speaker's suspicions. Rather than lose her, Gareth had shipped her off to Alaterra and arranged her marriage to a nobleman. Eris had then caught the crest of a rising tide of resentment among the chattel, the former magi who'd left the Chantry to marry. She was now poised to head that movement back to the Chantry, demanding recognition. Eris might even overthrow the speaker.
Eris?
Verdmeister?
Eris liked to think too highly of herself, but she could obviously feel the nearness of Kali. That was enough to put anyone off balance.
I have a task for you. One of our spies tells me a woman named Viridiana Sovari has bonded a man with a set of compulsive earrings. Given the bond, we expect he will come to the Chantry soon.
I know the girl. She's the talk of the Chantry.
She doesn't matter. Let me be blunt. This man, Kyler, may hold Kurak. We've hired an extremely skilled thief to take it from him. We have reasons to trust our thief, but Kyler is very resourceful. He may track our man down. So, as soon as our man steals the sword, he'll signal you by raising 2 black flags on a fishing boat, visible from your room in the Chantry. Check 3 times a day. When you see it, collect the sword and leave the city immediately. The thief is not to see your face or know anything about you, just as you know nothing about him. You'll pay him. He knows how much to expect.
Neff handed her a purse full of Alaterran gold. She looked startled at the weight. Neff was lying to her, of course. He did believe that Kyler had briefly held Kurak, but he'd also seen how Ezra's wood changed on the day that Verdmeister Borsini had gone to his death, trying to take Kurak from Kyler. The sword of power was gone. Once something went into the wood, it stayed there. What Neff's thief was trying to steal was a normal sword, with one difference. It had been reported to Neff that Kyler's sword had a black blade. Kyler was hiding his Kakari, the black Kakari, the devourer of magic, on his sword. Neff was certain of it. If he was wrong, he would likely be dead by spring. He was running out of options. The things he thought would be easy had turned out to be viciously difficult. With 200 Verdmeisters, Neff had attacked the weaves Jorsenel Kestis had laid on Black Barrel hundreds of years ago. Even together, they'd only broken the first spell. Now it was possible to use the Veer within the dead Daimane, the unchanging circle of land around the dome of Black Barrel. Before, anyone using the Veer there would die instantly. It was better progress than anyone before Neff had made, but in itself it accomplished nothing. All the millions of Krull around Black Barrel were still magically sealed. No one could raise them. No one could raise the Titan Neff had found beneath the mighty dome of Black Barrel itself. With Kurak, Jorsenel Kestis had been more powerful alone than Neff was with 200 Verdmeisters. Neff's few successes seemed like nothing. He'd stirred up the wild men in the Freeze. He'd taught their shamans to raise Krull, though he'd deliberately taught them imperfectly in case he ever had to face them himself. He'd sown rumors about the weakness of the new God King among the Highland tribes. It would be enough to distract the new God King, but not enough for Neff to take the chains of office for himself. The Ursuls had long claimed that only an Ursul could take the Veer from a Meister. That claim had meant the Meisters and Verdmeisters had never been a threat to a true Ursul. Any magical fight would end instantly. Neff had been certain it was a lie. He had staked everything on the belief that once he held Kali, it would be a simple matter to learn to remove the Veer from whomever he wished. But so far, he hadn't even come close. If Neff didn't figure out something soon, any of the Aethelings could show up any day and remove the Veer from Neff himself. There were ways out, but none was likely. If Neff actually recovered Kurak, of course, he could shatter Jorsen's work and anyone who rose against him, even without the Krull or the Strangers or Kali. If he could steal the Black Kakari, he could make it devour Jorsen's magics, raise the Krull, and the Krull would crush anyone who rose against him. He could use the Black Kakari to walk into Ezra's wood and steal Kurak and everything else there. His last hope was to raise Kali herself. It had been Kali's wish for as long as she had been worshipped. It was enshrined in every Caladoran's prayer. Kalivos, Ras and me. Kali, make your home in me. If Nef could give Kali a body, she would give him everything. Nef was preparing the magic and trying to find a proper host for Kali in case he needed to do it, but it was a last resort. Kali would surely teach him how to deny the Veer to the God King if Nef gave her true embodiment. But if Kali had a body, if she could give him everything, could she not also take everything from him? Nef turned pensive eyes toward Eris. He needed, as always with these arrogant children, to seal the lie.
If it is Kurak, Eris, I'll give you whatever you ask. But there are two things you should know. You have not the power to wield it, even for an instant. It will kill you if you try. Second, I will kill you if you try. I know you can untie that weave, but one of my other spies at the Chantry will be checking on you. If you tamper with it, she has instructions to kill you. Don't worry. The weave is small enough to escape any but the closest magical examination.
Eris's face paled. It would, of course, be her death if any loyal sister found that weave. But Nef had also revealed that he had another spy close enough to her that the spy could check on the weave regularly.
How likely is it that Kyla has Kurok?
Not likely. But the prize is worth the possibility of losing you.
I want Alitera. That's my price. If it's Kurok, you'll take all Midkiru. I want to be queen of Alitera. I have debts to repay.
Nef pretended to think about it.
Done.
The Night Angel Trilogy, Beyond the Shadows Part 1, is a graphic audio production. Copyright 2008, Brent Weeks. Published by arrangement with Hatchet Book Group, Incorporated. All rights reserved. Publication copyright 2010 by the Cutting Corporation, Incorporated. All rights reserved. With performances by Eric Messner, Laura Quinn Anderson, Ren Casey, Ken Jackson, Christopher Graybill, Michael Glenn, Terrence Azelford, Tim Getman, M.B. Van Dorn, Elizabeth Jernigan, Rick Rowan, Colleen Delaney, Johann Detweiler, Tony Penny, Joe Brack, Casey Platt, Nanette Savard, Lily Beacon, Mort Shelby, James Lewis, Scott McCormick, and Yasmin Toison. Adapted and directed by Johann Detweiler. Produced by Richard Rowan and Dwayne Beeman. Executive producers James Cutting, Mary Cutting, and Angie Cornett. Dialogue editing and graphic audio sound design by Johann Detweiler. Featuring original music composed and performed by Dan Smith, Johann Detweiler, Jack Francis, and Pierre Gerwin-Langer. If you enjoyed the Night Angel Trilogy, be sure to look for R.A. Salvatore's Demon Wars Saga, available now in graphic audio at road stops everywhere at 1-800-670-5220 or at www.graphicaudio.net. Keep listening for exciting previews of other graphic audio material.
Available now from Graphic Audio.
Do you know what they are calling one of their leaders?
Who, God Voice?
The Togairu Rebels. One band of raiders has named their leader Ashwarawu. Do you know what that means? He who kills without mercy.
Our enemy is a Ru called Ashwarawu.
And mighty leader?
A coward who strikes at the vulnerable and retreats to the shadows. But of late, he grows bolder, and his attacks come nearer and nearer to Daryan.
I will line the steps with the heads of Chazolay dog warriors.
You cannot fight a war alone. You have heard of Ashwarawu?
Ashwararu gathers warriors as he roams from village to village. The baronies fear him.
We know where he is, or we know at least where you can go to be found.
Ashwarawu.
You are far from any village, woman.
I am where I'm meant to be.
Who are you, and why have you come?
I am Bryn Dariel. I have no home, and I was a wanderer until very recently when I happened upon a village controlled by a despised Yatol. I killed the Yatol, and his Chezole lackey beside him. And so again, I have no home.
Then you are welcome as one of my warriors.
How did you find us?
Perhaps you are not as well hidden as you believe.
How he found us is not as important as why he found us. What do the Gestatus see in our struggles that would so interest you, Mystic?
I have come to Togai to learn.
What is there to learn, Mystic? How to fight? How to die?
Perhaps how to live.
Kill the rats! Kill all of them! Charge!
Don't miss the cataclysmic action in Part 2 of the Demon Wars Saga Book 6, Transcendence. Available now in graphic audio.
What's happened?
Empire Line's Princess Philomena just arrived in system, squalling like a banshee. Apparently, the pirates hit Bissonnet and have taken over the government. Blew through the planetary space militia as if they weren't there.
This is more than one pirate gang could do. You take a space fleet near enough.
Do they have a name for themselves?
The Deep Space Benevolent Association, commanded by one Gammus Turek. What are you going to do about this fellow?
Kill him! When we can, at least.
Your niece Kai has a letter of marque.
She what? You just made her more of a target. There's no way she can fight effectively with that old crate she's in. And now you've given our enemies even more reason to go after her.
When I watched her for the year she was at the academy, she'll make a better privateer than regular officer, actually. Intelligent, quick, capable, and if I'm not mistaken, has the true killer instinct.
I hope not.
Captain Vada, you've heard about the Philomena, of course.
Yes.
Captain Biston says the pirates had a whole fleet, 14 ships at least.
I know. What we need is a true interstellar force. I'm thinking of the other privateers. We need to find them, get them working with us. I think it's essential.
I don't see how. We don't even know where the others are, and I don't know how to fight a fleet action.
I do. A lone assassin?
Miss Grace!
Caitlin, go in the kitchen and stay there.
The police!
Don't call them. Helen, how bad is it?
Not hurt, just stunned. Shar?
Get Justin inside if you can. I'll get Shaw. Sorry. Easy now, Buttercup. Shaw, it's time to go in.
What happened to Rosie? Did you shoot Rosie? Bad word! Grandma says...
Stay down, Shaw. Stay flat and be quiet and hold still no matter what.
You're having an interesting morning. Stay with me now, come on.
Vata's War, Book 3, Engaging the Enemy, Part 1, in graphic audio. If you can't find that graphic audio title you're looking for, go to www.graphicaudio.net, where you can order it in CD format or digital download. If you're on the road, call 1-800-670-5220. That's 1-800-670-5220. Or www.graphicaudio.net. And if you're looking for a great way to try out a different graphic audio series, check out our convenient and easy-to-store long-haul box sets, which contain up to 5 books of a series. Available only at www.graphicaudio.net. Be sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter or follow us on Twitter.